90 minutes on the clock. St. James Park is rocking. William Osler receives the ball inside the Manchester United box, curls it into the far corner, and just like that, the unbeaten run is over. That moment told you everything you needed to know about this Manchester United side right now. Not because they lost, but because of how they lost. Against 10 men, at a stadium where they have not won in over 4 years, and with a substitute on the pitch who arguably had no business being there at that stage of the game. Let us set the scene properly. Going into this match, Michael Carrick had been nothing short of remarkable as interim head coach. 6 wins from 7 games. Manchester United had climbed to 3rd place in the Premier League. The mood around the club had completely shifted. Fans were beginning to believe. And for the first time in a long time, United were playing with purpose and momentum. Then came Wednesday, then came Newcastle, and then came a result that raises serious questions. Not just about one bad night, but about patterns, about recurring problems, about whether this Manchester United squad has the mentality and the depth to sustain a top 4 push. Because what happened at St. James Park was not random. It was familiar. It was a pattern repeating itself. And that is what makes this defeat so important to analyse carefully. Here is what was truly at stake on Wednesday night. Manchester United were sitting 3rd in the Premier League before kick-off. They had beaten Crystal Palace 2-1 the previous week, coming from behind to take the 3 points. The momentum was real, the belief was building. A win at Newcastle would have put real distance between United and the clubs chasing them down. But there was more to it than just the league table. Michael Carrick is an interim manager. Every result he delivers either strengthens or weakens his case for the permanent job. 6 wins from 7 had made that conversation very real. A loss against 10 men following a tactical substitution that backfired at the worst possible moment does the opposite. And then there is the historical weight. Manchester United had not won at St. James Park since a 4-1 victory in the 2020-21 season. 4 consecutive defeats at that stadium before Wednesday. That is not a coincidence. That is a problem that has been building across multiple managers, multiple squads, and multiple eras. And it did not get solved on Wednesday. It got worse. The stakes were high. The result did not go the right way. And now the questions are being asked loudly. Before we go deeper into what went wrong on Wednesday, I want to say something directly to you watching this right now. If you want deeper analysis on stories like this, covering the decisions, the patterns, and the moments that actually shape this football club, then subscribe to United HQ. We break down the moves that shape the game. We do not just tell you what happened. We tell you why it happened and what it means. Hit that subscribe button if you want the full picture on tactics, club decisions, and everything that matters to Manchester United. And make sure you turn on notifications so you never miss a video. Now let us get back into this because there is a lot to unpack. Let us go through this game step by step, strictly based on what happened. The first half was described as cagey, 2 sides feeling each other out. Not a lot of clear-cut action. That changed dramatically when Newcastle midfielder Jacob Ramsey was sent off for a second bookable offence. 10 men, Manchester United with a numerical advantage. And yet, what happened next was almost impossible to believe. Moments after the red card, Bruno Fernandes conceded a penalty. Anthony Gordon stepped up and converted it. Newcastle, down to 10 men, had gone ahead. Manchester United, with 11 players on the pitch, were trailing. Now let us sit with that for a second, because it is important, and because it is not the first time this season that Manchester United have struggled when facing a side with 10 men. The article is very clear about this. Earlier in the season, Manchester United lost to a 10-man Everton side. That result was treated as an anomaly at the time. After Wednesday, it starts to look like a pattern. A team reduced to 10 men should be chasing the game. Instead, on both occasions, it was Manchester United doing the chasing. Why does this happen? The article points to the fact that United seemed to play worse in the second half against Newcastle's 10 men than they had in the first 45 minutes. That is a tactical and mentality issue combined. It is something Michael Carrick and his staff will have to confront, honestly. Playing against 10 men requires a specific kind of discipline and control. You have to manage the space without overcommitting. You have to be patient without being passive. On Wednesday, United were neither. Now, to give credit where it is due, Manchester United did respond before half-time. Casemiro, playing with a significant bruise around his eye that had clearly raised eyebrows before kickoff, got his head on a Bruno Fernandes delivery to level the score at 1-1. It was Casemiro's 6th Premier League goal of the season. Remarkably, 4 of those 6 goals have been assisted by Fernandes. That connection between the two players has been one of the genuine positives of this period under Carrick. But even that moment of quality was not enough to save the night. United went into the second half level with the numerical advantage and with the momentum of having just scored. They should have gone on and won the game. They did not. The second half, according to the article, saw United fail to capitalise on their numerical advantage. They were pushing for a second goal. They looked more likely to score than concede. And then came the decision that may define how this defeat is remembered. Noussair Mazraoui went off injured. Carrick chose to bring on Tyrell Malacia as the replacement. The article is direct in its criticism of this decision. Malacia looked completely out of his depth, and for the Newcastle winner in the 90th minute, Malacia was described as embarrassingly poor, getting spun completely the wrong way. William Osler curled the ball into the far corner, and Manchester United's unbeaten run was over. What makes this substitution particularly difficult to defend is what the article tells us about the alternatives that were available. Aidan Heaven and Godwill Kakonki were both on the bench. The article suggests both would have been better choices technically and defensively than Malacia. Whether or not you agree with that assessment, the fact that those options were available and were not used is a legitimate question for Carrick to answer. Interim managers are often judged not just on wins and losses, but on the quality of their decision-making in critical moments. This was a critical moment. The decision did not work. That is simply a fact. Now let us talk about Bryan Ambumo. Because while the Malacia decision attracted significant criticism, Ambumo's performance on the night was also widely discussed among supporters. The article outlines multiple fan reactions, all pointing in the same direction. Supporters felt Ambumo was quiet, ineffective, and below the level required. One supporter described him as really quiet and probably lucky to last as long as he did on the pitch. Another said he was very poor and that his form had been declining. A third supporter specifically noted that United were badly missing the kind of direct take-on ability on the right flank that had previously been provided by the previous manager's system. Another fan commented that while Ambumo had delivered goal contributions during the season, his recent performances had been poor. The article also references concerns about the balance of the forward line more broadly. Several supporters noted that Cunha and Ambumo appeared more focused on taking shots themselves rather than providing crosses and service to the central striker. This is relevant because United have a quality centre-forward in Benjamin Sesko, but the article suggests he is not getting enough service from the wide areas to be as effective as he should be. These are not minor tactical footnotes. These are structural questions about how the attack functions, and they matter enormously if Manchester United want to maintain a top-4 challenge. Let us also talk about Bruno Fernandes, because his night was a story of two halves in the most literal sense possible. He conceded the penalty that led to Newcastle's opening goal. That was a clear error, a costly one, but Fernandes did not allow it to affect him. He came straight back and delivered the assist for Casemiro's equaliser, taking his Premier League assist tally for the season up to 14. The article describes him as never far from the action, and that is accurate. Even when he makes a mistake, he responds. That quality of character is something United cannot replace easily. Now let us place this defeat in its broader context. Manchester United's last win at St James Park came in a 4-1 victory during the 2021 season. 4 consecutive defeats at that stadium since then. That is across multiple managers and multiple squad rebuilds. There is something about that ground, that atmosphere, that crowd that has consistently exposed weaknesses in Manchester United sides over recent years. Wednesday was no different. The article also makes an important point about United's record when going behind in games. Going into Wednesday, United had lost just one of their last 8 games in which they had conceded first. They were known for their ability to respond and come from behind. They showed that quality again when Casemiro levelled before half-time. But this time, the story had a different ending. Newcastle scored the winner in the 90th minute and United ran out of time. That resilience and comebacks quality that had been such a feature of Carrick's early weeks in charge was not enough on this occasion. And that is a reminder that momentum in football is fragile. One result does not define a season. But the manner of this defeat, the specific failures on show, cannot simply be brushed aside. Michael Carrick has been remarkable since taking interim charge. The article acknowledges that clearly, but the criticism being directed at him following this defeat is not unfair. The Malacia substitution backfired. United's inability to manage a numerical advantage is a recurring issue. And the performance levels of certain key players are dropping at exactly the wrong moment in the season. What happens next will be telling. How Carrick responds in training. How the players respond in the next match. Whether the tactical issues around the wide positions are addressed. Whether the depth of the squad is used more boldly when changes are needed. All of those questions remain open. But what is confirmed is this. The unbeaten run is over. The first defeat under Michael Carrick has arrived, and it came against 10 men at a stadium United have not won at in over 4 years, sealed by a substitute who arguably should not have been on the pitch in the first place. That is the honest picture of what happened on Wednesday at St. James Park. No excuses, no spin, just analysis. Thank you for watching United HQ. If this breakdown gave you value, subscribe now and turn on notifications. We will be back with more as this story develops.